Welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. So, one of the things that we try to talk about on this show is for us to have a better understanding of business and decisions that we actually make. And what we often talk about is that what's happening now in this social media space, black people, we literally are making a lot of non-black people rich. I mean, we over-index on all of the apps. We when YouTube dropped, Twitter dropped, Facebook dropped, Clubhouse dropped, Vine dropped, Instagram dropped, go on and on and on. And we make these apps sexy. We make them rich. Just like it's a lot of companies, y'all. It's a lot of companies we've made highly successful because we buy their products. You know that? But then what happens is folk then turn around and then get mad when we don't get paid. How many times have y'all heard me say it's enough with us being the show in the business and not the business in the business? Happens all the time. We all remember when Prince stood up at the Soul Train Awards and told everybody to keep standing, trying to explain to them about masters. Guess what? Sam Cooke understood that. James Brown understood that. We could go on and on and on. Some artists did that. But see, a lot of us, we want that instant gratification. It's a lot of music artists sign awful ass deals. Awful deals. Because they want to do that. If you read Luther Campbell's book, he talks about in his book how after he would do shows, he would be back there in the show counting out $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And the other artists would come up to him and they say, "Luke, what you doing?" He said, "Man, that's called back of the room sales." See, a bunch of artists signed licensing deals where they handed them $2,500, $5,000, and this other company owned their merchandising rights. They took the $5,000, where Luke was in the back room selling his own shirts, his own hats, his own merchandise, and he was making that money every single time. But see, we fall for that. If you read Jack Newfield's book on Don King, he tells an interesting story. And y'all know I don't use the N word, so I'm only going to use this word within the context of this story. So Jack Newfield talked about how Don King was cheating a whole bunch of boxers out of their money. And Don King realized he owed boxers $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. But see, Don King said, "Oh, this ain't no problem. All I got to do is give them a roll of money with a rubber band on it." He said, they're going to put that in their pocket and they're going to get in their car and they're going to drive to the neighborhood and they're going to go to the restaurant and go to the bar and they're going to sit here and pull that wide out. And everybody's going to be like, "Oh, man, you the man, you getting paid." Don King called that nigga rich. That was the phrase Newfield used in his book. In fact, Muhammad Ali was in a lawsuit with Don King. Don King owed Muhammad Ali about $1 million some odd dollars. So Don King knew, I ain't trying to pay Muhammad that money. So this was what he did. He went to a Muslim friend of Muhammad Ali's, gave him a briefcase, and the briefcase was filled with $50,000. He goes to the hospital. While Muhammad is in the hospital, the Muslim friend says, "Say, brother, this is not good. Two brothers fighting each other. And so Don wants to give this to you." And he opens the briefcase up and he sees $50,000. Muhammad Ali goes ahead and accepts $50,000. Now, mind you, he was owed $1 million from Don King, but he flashed him the money. That's what they do to black folks in every single area when we talk about sports and entertainment. They flash us the money as opposed to the equity. And so Isaac Hayes III, founder of Fanbase, was in a conversation with Jermaine Dupri. They posted on social media, and I saw that. We were going to discuss something else today. We were going to talk about AI. But I saw this, and I said, I think this is a much better conversation than that for today. And so, roll it.
So if Castanet came to fan base and he got off Twitch, he can make more money than he making at Twitch than he make with you. He can make more money with you than he making at Twitch.
I tell you how he could. I give him equity in the company. I give him equity in it.
But that's a gamble.
No, it's
that's not like.
Want to know why it's not? Does Castanet have the ability to move people where he wants them to move?
I don't know if he knows.
Yes, he does. When they went to New York City, tried to get away from PlayStation, and the motherfuckers mobbed the whole shit.
Okay, you're right. That's right.
Okay, so Castanet said, I'm over at Fanbase. I'm going to Fanbase, but he owns part of the company. Fanbase goes from 600,000 plus users to 1 million users in like 24 hours. That means then Fanbase becomes $1 billion company. Now, the same people that invested in all them companies, ripping all of that fail, look at me like, oh shit, we got to go get $100 million because he's about to blow up. It's like I always
but that's you. But I'm saying yes, you. So how do we get Castanet that money though? That's what I'm saying. How do
because they'll have equity.
Yeah,
because they'll have equity in the company.
But equity. You know, equity. Wait. Hold on. I'm just going to tell you, equity to don't sound like money in the hand, right?
Know,
just like Magic Johnson. They offered Magic Johnson equity in Nike, and he signed to Converse. But he's a guy from Detroit. That didn't understand the word equity. So that's all I'm saying. My phone going crazy. We're going to have to do this later on.
All right.
But I'm just saying.
All right, so this is the conversation Jermaine Dupri was referencing about Magic Johnson. Watch this.
Winning the national championship, and 3 companies came in: Converse, Adidas, and Nike. Nike was just a year or 2 old. Converse offered me the most money. So, you know, when you grow up broke, you take the money. Phil Knight came in and said, hey, I can't offer you the same type of money, but I can offer you stock.
Wasn't trying to hear that then.
I wasn't trying
to hear that then.
And I didn't know nothing about it. And my family didn't come from money. Yeah. See, that's one thing that hurt us sometimes. When you don't come from money, you don't know. I didn't even know what stocks was at that time. So I passed on the stocks. Can you imagine? 45 years, $5 billion that stock would have been worth today. But let me say this. When you don't know something, that's okay. It's when you know and then you make mistakes. I'm a person who live in the moment. And if something happened to me that wasn't good, I leave it in the past and I keep moving forward. That's who I am.
No, doggone well. Magic still like, damn, I wish I had that $5.2 billion. Isaac Hayes III joins us right now. He's the founder of Fanbase. And Isaac, Magic just sat there and said, when you don't know, that's what makes it worse. The reality is, the brother who you were talking about and Cass today, they know. It's all around. Everybody is talking about it. But the reality is, a lot of us want to go for that quick money in our hand, not realizing that if they are paying you X, they making 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 times more money, you making them rich. So the young brother you're talking about, he's huge on Twitch. How much is Twitch valued at?
Twitch is valued at $45 billion.
Whoa, hold up. This young brother is one of the biggest folks on Twitch, but Twitch is valued at you said 45 billion?
45 billion.
And I guarantee you this brother ain't worth 450 million.
He'll get there. I think he'll get there, but he has to make the type of moves that I'm offering. He's going to have to do those type of deals. Something interesting. Somebody pointed out something interesting to me today about equity in that there's another streamer, this kid named Aiden Ross. He's on a platform called Kick, and Kick gave him equity in the platform. He's white. He's a streamer. He has equity in Kick. Kai Cenat is on Twitch, which was already acquired by Amazon, but he's making a lot of money, and he has a very good split on the revenue that he brings in, but he doesn't have equity. And that is my point in introducing the conversation of equity, even with Fanbase raising capital. So let's be clear. even the round that we're raising on StartEngine, everybody that invests in Fanbase is getting equity. So equity is the word of the day. Whether it is offered in exchange for services and consulting for somebody that has a massive following like Kai Cenat, or whether anybody watching this program right now invests in Fanbase, you're having equity and ownership in a company, right? And so as time progresses, these companies grow in value. They reach enormous amounts of billion-dollar valuations in social media. Facebook is worth $2.2 trillion with a T, right? And so imagine, like I said, someone like Magic having that experience with 45 years of Nike stock going from 17 cents a share to about $100 a share and being worth $5 billion. Right now with Fanbase, equity is, right now, our shares are $665 a share, and we are valued at $160 million. But let's hypothesize, again, that Fanbase becomes worth $160 billion, which is half the value of Instagram, half the value of TikTok, and not even a tenth of the value of Facebook. That's still 1,000x return on your investment. So if you put in 100,000, you get $1 million. You put in 50, you get 500K. You know what I'm saying? That's what would happen at an exit. So either we sell the company or whatever. So the importance of me bringing up the word equity for someone like Kai Cenat, he has an enormous amount of value that he can bring to any social media platform just by simply using the platform, right? And so him having equity will increase the value of the company that he's already a part of. And then he can still make money in other ways on Fanbase because the app is monetized. And so that conversation that Jermaine and I had, Jermaine is correct. And that a lot of people and a lot of rappers, young people, they don't understand. They're so cash heavy that they don't understand that, you know, your money in music can run out. You can fall on hard times or whatever, but your portfolio of what you invest in, people like 50 Cent that made wise investments with Smart Water, right? Or someone like Nas that invested in Ring when it sold for like 1.2 billion to Amazon. He exited out of that company. Jay-Z has had exits from these companies.
You've had, there was I forgot the company. Kobe Bryant did the exact same thing. When I think McDonald's and others were trying to sign LeBron James to a marketing deal, they said, wait a minute, hold up. So then he invested, I think it was a pizza chain, and again, equity stake in that. You talk about Diddy. Diddy had a marketing deal with Ciroc, not an equity deal. And so he had a marketing deal. And so Diddy took this brand with Ciroc and blew it up. And, he got paid well, but they got paid a hell of a lot more money. And what ended up happening? He sues them. They end the deal. Well, if he had an equity deal, they would have had to give him a much bigger payout. And this is why the ownership thing is so big. George Clooney, Ryan Reynolds, they had equity deals in tequila companies sold for a crazy amount of money. Reese Witherspoon owned her own production company, sold that production company for almost $1 billion. And again, a lot of us, we are getting excited about, I got a first look deal. I got a production deal. When no, it's about owning the content, owning it, having the equity stake, and hell, that thing is making money without you. Michael Jordan was able to buy the Charlotte Hornets because of and here's what's crazy. His mama is the reason he got that 5%. That 5%, Michael Jordan don't have 51%. And see, this is the other part of equity I think that's important. It's a lot of black folks who do think about equity, but no, I got to have 51%. I got to have 51%. Michael Jordan signed a deal, and his mama insisted he gets 5%. He took that 5% deal, and that's why he's now worth $2 to $3 billion as a result of his mama saying, no, we don't want just a check. We want 5% of everything sold with Jordan's name on it.
Right. And cashed out immensely. And again, you named some smart African-American people, but most of the people you're talking about are white entrepreneurs, white entertainers that are offered these deals. They're not offering equity deals to us. And the interesting thing about that is the amount of leverage that black culture has in influencing all types of businesses, whether it's music, fashion, TV, alcohol.
Crazy.
All of it, right? So the part about equity that's so important is that is our secret weapon against being able to blow these companies up. If people had equity in Clubhouse is valued at $3 billion. I think Clubhouse would be a much more successful app if they would have allowed people to actually have equity in the company rather than just, go and raise $100 million and $1 billion valuation and not even care about the users. And in social media, equity in social media is extremely important because it's really a cheat code, because it's the only business I know that you can actually increase the value by using it because you own it. So if you own shares in Fanbase, by telling people about it or using it, then you actually have, you're actually increasing the value of the company. So the more users we have, because again, social media apps are primarily based on the number of users you have and the number of monthly active users you have. So if you have large amounts of users, they can say, oh, you can make this amount of money running ads. So we already have a valuation of what the company could be and scale that. So with offering equity deals to people like Kai Cenat or allowing people to invest in Fanbase on StartEngine, it just changes the game. And I think that's this whole purpose and mission for me is like, I want to change the narrative that African-American people and Black people have ownership in these multi-billion-dollar tech companies. We've never been here. And I think that's so foreign to people that they've never seen anyone like me try or move in a path that says, okay, I see myself as a Zuckerberg. I see myself as a Kevin Systrom or a Spiegel or a Jack Dorsey, but I'm Black. But I know the value that social media platforms don't work without Black culture. So the equity conversation is one that I'll continue to have. And I've had these conversations with other entertainers. And a lot of times management is looking for the cash heavy side. And it's in tech because they don't believe, but they're missing the big point, which is like someone like Kai Cenat or someone like Cardi B coming to Fanbase would increase the value of the company immensely. But I wouldn't, if I was them, get your equity first and then come over to Fanbase. And for those that invest in Fanbase and share the fruits of their participation in what happens.
Well, we are running a promo. I interviewed Jimmy Jam. And in the interview, he talked about how clubs in Minneapolis would not let them perform. And then they went ahead and booked their own venue, had 1,500 folks there, and the clubs were empty. And they were like, yo, where in the hell are people at? They said, oh, they at that party for the band y'all wouldn't book. And then the band started calling. They were like, yeah, nah, we're good. And see, and that's what it is. At the end of the day, this is no different than the hottest party, the hottest concert. Wherever the people at, yo, that's where the money at. And too often what's happening is we are devaluing ourselves by taking the short money, which requires us to keep doing all the work. Meaning we got to keep, listen, why do you have so many of these Black entertainers who are 70, 75, and 80, and 85 because they still on stage? They still performing because they don't own publishing. They don't own anything else. And the only way they make any money and still keep eating, they got to keep performing. That's correct. The case. I remember when Cicely Tyson, somebody talked about, oh, Cicely, you still acting. And she was like, hell, I don't want to keep acting. But Cicely wasn't getting paid all those years. It wasn't until Tyler Perry came along that she got paid $1 million for one day's worth of work. And he did that after she told him, I think she said she got $8,000 or $10,000 for Sounder. And he was stunned. He paid her $1 million for a day of work. It was the most money she ever gotten paid. And so that's what people are realizing. So when we talk about equity, this allows for you, well, you don't have to work because the value of that company is going up. And then how the tax code works, when you start talking about capital gains, stuff along those lines, okay, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, he ain't got $44 billion in the bank, or whatever his number is. The reality is he is able to go to a bank, leverage his stock, and go buy whatever he wants to, and then his tax liability is low because you don't actually have to pay on that until you actually pull it out. That's why the rich folks want to keep the capital gains tax rate exactly where it is, and they actually want to be lower as well. And so this is a conversation that we as Black folks have got to have because we want to understand building wealth equity is the way folk build wealth. Just like we talk about home equity. It's the same thing. What's the equity that you have in something that you own?
Right. And the value of houses increase or decrease, and you can actually pull from the value of your home and equity. So I want to shift this conversation to equity for the people that are watching, right? So, and I come on here and talk about fan base, all the time in our raise. So we're raising $17 million. Anybody that wants to invest and have equity, I'm gonna keep using that word. If you want equity in a social media platform that is on the rise, then go to StartEngine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest in Fanbase is $399, and that buys you shares of the company. So you are actually an owner in the company and actually have equity. We're almost at $800,000 raised right now. You can go to StartEngine.com to invest, and that's important because these companies, again, reach $100 billion valuations. I'm not in this to try to flip Fanbase and be a tech founder that says, oh, I was in tech and made a bunch of money. I see the enormous amount of value that the Black community brings to platforms like Twitter, when they were on there with Black Twitter, Clubhouse, Instagram, TikTok with the dances, all this. So I said, if we don't own infrastructure, and what I was telling Jermaine Dupri is like, if we don't own the infrastructure, we're always customers to things we make popular. We are customers. Everybody on TikTok is a customer to TikTok. They're a customer to Instagram. They're a customer to Clubhouse and Facebook and all these platforms. They don't have any ownership in them. And what typically what these platforms do is they find one or two people to pay and make wealthy and say, okay, see, look, we made them rich. But really, the goal is not to make one person rich to say you've done your job. My goal is to allow everybody a shot at the American dream, a piece of the pie to actually hone equity in a tech startup. And again, I'll repeat this, the fastest way to build wealth in the United States of America right now is technology, is tech companies. It's not real estate, it's tech. So you see how much NVIDIA is worth. You see these tech companies with AI and all these other platforms like this. So I'm doing a tech infrastructure play that's social media and technology and culture. So that's why I tell people to go to StartEngine.com/fanbase to invest and own part of the company. It's extremely important. And this is and one of the things I say is Fanbase, I believe in the company. I believe in how successful we're going to be and how we've grown. And so I want people to take this ride with us because we're only going to keep getting bigger and better. That's what we're raising the $17 million for. And we want people to be a part of that. And so that's extremely important. Equity is the word of the day. If you don't, I don't want to hear, 5 years from now, you'd be like, man, he was on Roland talking about equity and the word. I should have just did it. I should have put my money in. I should have went and invested. But, this is your opportunity to do so because people like Kai Cenat are making a lot of money, but he doesn't have equity in a lot of these platforms, these companies that he works with.
Absolutely. Equity questions. Robert, you first.
So with the equity, can you kind of describe kind of a ratio when people are investing, compared to other companies, let's say you had at this same point in time were investing in Facebook when they were at this same level of development. What kind of returns will people see? Because I think sometimes we can put it in more concrete terms that helps people understand exactly what the equity stake can turn into.
Well, I mean, I have to speak hypothetically just because I can't make any guarantees.
Oh, no. Let's do hypotheticals with Fanbase. Let's use real life examples. Facebook, okay. Apple. I mean, you already use it. Say it again, Nike. What was Nike's stock when it was offered to Magic Johnson?
It was 17 cents.
Okay, Nike, hold up. Nike's stock was 17 cents. When it was offered to Magic Johnson. If you right now, let me just pull it up. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up. I think it's about 100. No, it's actually a little underneath that, but you pull it up right now. So Nike's stock right now is at go ahead and put $94 a share. You see how it's going up and down, but the bottom line is 17 cents to $94 a share is huge.
Yes, it's enormous. I think I want to say it's a 285x return. So I'll do this. I'll say this. When I first founded Fanbase, the company was founded at a $20 million valuation. We've gone from $20 million valuation to a $50 million valuation to an $85 million valuation to a $160 million valuation. So now Fanbase is worth 8 times what it was when people first invested now. Now, $160 million is a large number, but in the scheme of what tech companies is, when you think about Twitch is worth $46 billion, when you think about TikTok or ByteDance being worth about $350 billion, Facebook being worth $2.2 trillion, Instagram outside of Facebook is probably a $300 billion company. So the ability for fan base to go from 160 million to 160 billion is there. It absolutely is there. It's based on users, revenue growth, and someone that actually invested in the company can actually increase the value in that. So that would be fan base going from $160 million company to $160 billion company would be 1,000x return. So for every dollar you put in, you would get $1,000, right? At an exit, a liquidity event is what we call them. And so those are the type of gains that you can have. And that's my vision. I'm in this to build this company into a multi-billion-dollar company that turns multiple people into 100,000aires and millionaires, and some people potentially into billionaires by using this model, because we weren't even able to do this. The average person was not able to do this before 2015. So that's why I tell everybody, take advantage of the Jobs Act and being able to invest in startups like this, not after they go public. So not after Nike goes public.
Yeah.
Don't invest in fan base after we're public. Invest in fan base today when we're a privately held company, that when we do get acquired, or we do go public, or we do a merger, that's when you see the biggest return on your investment.
And that was one of the best things under President Barack Obama. Rebecca, equity question.
Sure. So I'm thinking back to Kai Cenat. So Kai Cenat can literally stay on Twitch, but come over the fan base, use the same content, and then make money. But I'm also thinking of another example of DJ Academics on Rumble. He is making Rumble extremely popular. And as far as I know, his deal doesn't include equity. So can you talk through what it looks like if someone from the culture comes into fan base and they're able to increase the valuation of fan base because of their popularity and their audience, who would then go to fan base to follow them?
And before Isaac does that, here's what Rumble did. Rumble is a right-wing YouTube. It was created as a competitor for YouTube, right-wing. But then the folks are like, yeah, you know what? We can't just have all these neo-Nazis and other people on here. So what did they do? They went and got a deal with DJ Academics and to do what? Bring his audience over there. And so his audience follows him, and so they're seeing him on there. He's driving massive signups as well. So what he's doing is he's actually making Rumble more popular. And you're right, they're giving him a nice check, but they're making the bigger money because they actually own the company. He's making them more popular and more valuable. Isaac?
Yeah, so that's the capitalization table, the cap table. Those are words you're gonna hear all the time. Who's on the cap table? Academics is not on the cap table of Rumble. Kai Cenat is not on the cap table of Twitch. Aiden Ross is on the cap table of Kick. There's a difference. Again, I'm just saying that Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they're on the cap tables of a lot of these companies that they're involved with. They give these people equity in these companies. They give our young black creators cash, money, which is cool, and they're gonna be handsomely paid. But the value that Kai Cenat brings, right, to anywhere that he decides to move, and I even said this on another post, I wouldn't even want him to leave Twitch. He doesn't have to leave Twitch entirely. Make your money on Twitch. My point is that you can move your audience wherever you want them to move. You'll still have your audience on Twitch, but you can actually move an audience to somewhere, to a platform that you actually have equity in and increase the value of it. And again, I told him I'm not talking like a small amount of equity at all. Like someone like Kai Cenat, I respect his ability to bring people where he wants them to go. People like Kai, people like Cardi. I'm talking about definitely equity that can make them billionaires if the trajectory of fan base goes.
But Isaac, but also Isaac, to add to that, that's also put in the deal. It's benchmarks. Hey, if you listen, that's the deal that Howard Stern has with Sirius XM Radio. There's a reason Howard Stern said later to terrestrial radio, people like, oh my God, you get a bigger audience. The deal that Howard Stern has with Sirius XM Radio, because his followers follow him, Dude is making crazy amount of money with Sirius XM because that's the kind of, but there are benchmarks. If you take us from here to here, you get this. If we go from here to here, it increase your stake. And so basically, you're saying you grow, we grow, and your bank account's gonna grow because the valuation is gonna go through the roof.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I pride myself in, and I'm proud of, is the way that we've actually raised capital doing equity crowdfunding, and then me investing in fan base myself. One thing I'll say is I'll never ask anybody to do something that I haven't done myself. I spent $200,000 of my own money, not this money that I made producing music in the music industry. I gambled on myself.
There you go.
Right? So that $2,000 saved me about 20% of equity that I would have had to give away. Right. So I understand the value of equity because I understand the value of music publishing. Music publishing is equity in the songs. When you say how much publishing, how much ownership do you have in the copyright, right? Or what percentage do you own of the masters? So that was an easy translation for me going from music to tech, because I said, oh, OK, cool. So I know that the more equity that I have in fan base, I can actually be able to raise capital and get more money to run the company, or do equity deals, partnerships where people are offered stock options, and like Magic Johnson got offered in Nike, where I say, I don't have a bunch of cash to pay you. Fanbase doesn't have Fanbase ain't got millions of dollars to pay Kai Cenat and millions of dollars, to pay some of these artists, because they're going to make millions of dollars. Kai Cenat makes $400,000 a month on Twitch. He makes $400 grand a month on Twitch. God bless him. That's cool. I'm saying that, hey, look, you can make $400 million or $1 billion, right, in equity on top of the $400,000 a month that you make. And that's my point about saying, and then for the retail investors that want to invest in Fanbase, you can have equity in Fanbase and grow along with Kai Cenat or whoever comes onto the platform. And again, my mission is to get those types of creators on the platform.
Kevin?
Isaac, thank you so much for being with us and for what you're doing, for what you're building. It's funny, when we talk about equity, I feel like we talk a lot in our community these days about the DEI kind of equity, which is important. But this kind of equity that you're talking about, this is about generational change for our community, right? I think too many of us, especially, young Black folks coming up now, they want to be rich, which will get you money. But what we should be aspiring for is to be wealthy, right? Which will give us time, will give us freedom. So I guess my question is I understand, right? We work so hard to get our seat at the table, but what we should be doing is trying to build our own tables. So how can we shift that mindset in our communities? How can we get, young Black boys and young Black girls to grow up wanting to be producers and owners and investors and not just the consumers and employees? And how can we make sure that they have the skills they need to do that?
Well, I mean, one of the things I think is look at the examples that you have of people that have done it that way. People like Tyler Perry, right? People that have built companies from the ground up and see the value of the wealth they've created, these producers and songwriters and artists, right? And Pinky Cole was Slutty Vegan and all these, these businesses that are built. A lot of places in America, we never see people that look like us in those positions of power and don't think that those things are achievable. We look at, Oprah and Tyler Perry as unicorns and mystic, beings that could rarely exist and ever. And really, if we focus the power of our community inward, right, we have $2.2 trillion worth of spending, or $1.8 trillion of annual spending in the Black community, and directed that back into investing in ourselves, investing in our own businesses, then we would create generational wealth. And I'm saying with social media, it's literally like, I posted this tweet the other day. You will not find the CEO of TikTok, Instagram, Clubhouse, or Twitter say that those platforms don't work without young people in Black culture. You'll never hear them say that. I dare anyone to say that we don't need Black kids on our platform to be successful. They'll never say that. So if you know that and they know that, then who has the power? The community, Black community does, right? Black culture does. Now, the question is, are we using that power? How are we leveraging that power? And I'm saying with Fanbase, by investing in the company and then coming over to the platform and using it, and that's not for Kai Cenat. This is for every single rapper, every single athlete, every single actor, actress, businessman, content creator. If all of you all went and invested in Fanbase and then came over there, now you own and you're able to monetize. The platform was built to monetize through subscription, which no other platform did the way that we do it before Fanbase. So now you can make money on the front end and then have equity on the back end. So this isn't a call just for Kai Cenat. This is a call for every single Black person that is watching this broadcast or will see this broadcast or see this video. Get your piece of a company that you can actually speak proud of, be a part of, use, help bring value to. That's what we have to do. We have to create examples. Fanbase has to be the example. Like Bob Johnson made the most amount of Black millionaires ever when he sold BET. I keep saying I want to obliterate that record. I want to make so many millionaires. Fanbase has over 14,000 investors now, about 15,000 investors now. My dream, my legacy, I want to be standing in a room with 15, 20,000 people one day, and Fanbase is acquired or Fanbase goes public, and everybody behind me is a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire. That is my vision. That is my goal for Fanbase. That's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to create generational. It'll be the largest distribution of wealth in the Black community in the history of the country. If and when Fanbase exits at an IPO or an acquisition, it will be the largest distribution of wealth to Black people in the history of the United States of America. Bob Johnson was the last one. I'm going to do the next one, and it's going to be bigger because all of us are going to own part of a company and leverage our culture to blow it up. And then we do it all over again. Okay, we did it once with Fanbase. Let's go do it with a movie studio. Let's go do it with all the things that we can do. Let's go do it with an automobile company. Let's go do it with an airline. We can do this. We can leverage our culture to create generational wealth. And that's what we have to do. We can't keep leveraging our culture and giving it away to these other platforms and then getting little one-off paychecks to be ambassadors and brand ambassadors and spokespeople and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, the people that own these companies are putting their great-great-great-grandchildren in positions of wealth that aren't even born yet. That's my idea of this.
Hey, folks, equity. And when we talk about, this is the last point here, when we talk about ownership, the greatest mistake that I believe that we make as Black folks is that we believe we have to own the whole company. Ownership means I have an equity stake in that company. Jeff Bezos got billions. He does not own 51% or 100% or 40% of Amazon. His money's in stock. Hell, he got divorced and gave his ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, she got billions in a divorce, and she's giving out billions of dollars to nonprofits, and the Amazon stock keep going up. So hell, the money she gave, she's already made back because the money is multiplied. Folks, we got to understand this is what it means. And when there are some people, they've got, you see these stories. I would just read John Rogers, Aerial Capital Management. They have 1.8% of Paramount stock. This company has 2% of Disney stock. That's what this is all about. And so the purpose of the conversation is to completely redirect our minds when we talk about Black ownership. And that's the whole deal here. If y'all want more information on the Fanbase raise, go to startengine.com/fanbase. And so next week, we'll chat with Isaac about artificial intelligence on our Tech Talk segment. Isaac, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.